Hi, I'm a recent graduate of a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner program, and I took the ANCC board certification exam 2 weeks later, and I want to share with you my study tips. So, to expedite your process and get you to success. Um, the first thing that I did was there's several books that I bought, and I'm going to talk about them one by one. The first one is a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner nursing certification review manual, the fourth edition, put out by the ANA, and it might be $125. It's worth it. You can also find it used from previous graduates. At any rate, the way that that is set up is they review every single condition, and then they also have a bunch of questions. I went through it page by page and focused on those areas that I somehow missed while I was in school or felt a little uncertain about. So and I also took notes as I was doing that to review at a later time, because I only went through the book once, that part of the book once. Okay. The most important part of the book are the questions. There are questions there with excellent rationale, and I highly recommend you get through all of those questions, understand every single question. That's number one. Number two, another ANA publication is Psychiatric Mental Health Nursing, Scope and Standards of Practice. My course used this as one of its primary textbooks, so I was pretty familiar with it. There are a lot of questions on the exam about scope and standards of practice. I recommend that you review, just page through it one time, and again, those areas that you need a little review in or that you weren't exposed to, take notes on that, and you're good for that book. But there were quite a few questions there about that. The next tool that I used was the also put out by the ANCC is the ANCC IQ test bank questions, and there are three domains of that they're questioning on, and they give good rationale. Again, read the rationale, not just the question and the answers. And that was really helpful. It's relatively easy to get through. You can get through all the questions in a couple days. I started off probably around 70, quickly went up to 85, and then got up to 90. I wanted to go through that several times because I wanted the answers very quick, and I wanted to be very confident. So I felt more confident once my grades were, marks were consistently up to 70. The next tool that I used was the Pocket Prep. It's a test bank of like 800 questions. It's for, it is available as an app for your phone, which was helpful for me if I was just out at large and had a moment or two while I was waiting for someone or taking the ferry to work. But what was even more helpful than that was to access it from my computer. On the computer, it's just easier to see, and you can gather together more questions, design your own study, your own exam, how many questions you wanted for that. And what I say is that my concentration's excellent for about an hour, and I had to build up my stamina because the ANCC CC exam is 175 questions and it's 4 hours. Um, so doing 50 questions at a time, I still needed more self-discipline to feel able to sit for 4 hours answering nonstop questions. Okay, so the pocket prep, um, again, you can start with, design your test with like maybe 50, go up to 100, and then 150, and just keep doing them over and over again. You will get faster and faster, I promise, and you'll get more and more of them correct. The last thing that I did was board vitals, and the reason why I did board vitals is because it was given to me by my school. The school paid for this and gave it to the students. Board vital questions were harder than all the other things previously mentioned. But board vitals, I did learn a lot from board vitals, and it taught me how to deconstruct a really hard question and how to deconstruct the answers. Like, as I always say, there's always two answers that are pretty darn close. One of them's right. So when you're taking the exam, look for those two questions, distill it down to that pretty quickly, and then spend your time on those two questions, two answers. The day before the exam, I took myself out for an extra long walk, gave myself a good meal. I slept like a baby the night before, I don't know how. Woke up with the start and hardly able to breathe. Got up, I did some meditation, I did some yoga, I had a small breakfast, and immediately went and took the exam. I got there, okay, I was panicky, I'll admit, and I just said to myself, give each question your 150% attention because I know this material. So I usually am a fast reader, and when I was studying, I noticed that I was getting things wrong when I was speed reading and I'd miss one word in the question or in the answer. So I really had to slow myself down and pause afterwards and say, do you understand that question? And then continue with the answers. And that really helped me to slow myself down, get myself present in the moment, take some deep breaths. What I did find particularly annoying was the prometric monitor walked in back of me every 5 minutes. That really irritated me and broke my concentration, but there's nothing I can do about it. That's how it's set up. Even though there's cameras all over the place and they pat you down and all that stuff. But so I only studied for 2 weeks and I passed the exam. I am confident in telling you that if you do these things, what I've just shared in this video, you too will pass the exam. After studying for only 2 weeks, if you do it, as I say, and just give it your, I was only studying maybe 3.5, 4 days a week for 2 weeks, and I passed the exam. I'm not a rocket scientist. I try hard, and I give it my 100%, and you give this your 100%, you're going to pass too. And good luck. If any of these comments have been helpful for you and helped you to achieve your goal, I'd love to hear it. I will be continuing. Right now the coronavirus is active and I have a little bit of free time, and I'm going to continue to make some videos on how to pass this psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner exam. So I'll get more specifically into the topics and some reviews, and check them out if you feel like this is helpful for you. Best of luck. Bye.